Just like always, we have no idea how to start these things at all.
Absolutely.
But I do believe we have a good idea how to start this. Hey everyone, I'm Sly47. I'm joined here with Matt and Alister from Rage. And today, we hold a funeral for all of our bad opinions that we had last year.
They will be missed.
No, these will not be missed at all. Are you kidding me? No, this will not be missed. These are some horrible takes.
Yes.
Horrible takes. We're looking back.
They are truly god-awful.
Yep, so we're just going to do the best thing about this and reset it because, dear Lord, we need to start over. And then, of course, this year we are swapping up playable and niche. But let's actually get to this. Alister, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just hoping we can somehow delete the footage of last year from our last tier list because it was pretty bad.
Matt, how are you doing?
Pretty good. It's just I'm gonna have to find some courage to apologize to the Blitz community.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think they'll take this entire video of us fixing up our very, very mediocre takes last year and improving them overall. But let's make sure everything's in order, which now it is, and we are now going to be starting the 2024 Cruiser tier list all over again. We are going to remedy all of our horrible fixes, and we decided, for this being a time-honored tradition of ranking cruisers, cheers everyone. It's been just an amazing season so far, and thank you to Alister and Matt for joining me once again this year in ranking the cruisers. Matt, of course, is too cool to drink with us tonight.
Oh my goodness, I drank way too much.
Wait, hold on. Can you redo it?
Come on, man, come on. Okay. Now we've got this. Let's start off. Let's start off with Alexander Nevsky. Who wants to take it? Because I've got a lukewarm opinion on it.
Go ahead.
I played it during the Christopher Colombo meta, dude. Matt, go ahead and take it, bro.
Okay. So I got Nevsky probably 3 months ago, and everyone was telling me shoot HE, shoot HE, shoot HE. Well, I didn't. Common to everyone's opinion, you actually need to be shooting AP in Nevsky, and Nevsky's kind of like Mosfa and some other ships where the better you aim, the better your position, the better you're going to do. And what I have found with Nevsky is it's one of my highest average cruisers at the moment. I think it's one of my top 10 highest cruisers at the moment. So I think it's high competitive, low meta, somewhere in that range. The biggest downside of Nevsky is the light armor, and you have to be able to somehow balance the long range with the ability to dodge. So that's my take on Nevsky.
I actually went with high playable in that it requires a lot of a player to make it really useful. It really is kind of in this awkward state of where its good guns are keeping it up, but its light armor and its kind of poor maneuverability kind of sacrifice it in this meta where its guns are the only good part about it, really, and then its skills, while you do have radar and you do have precise aim, it's already pretty precise. You don't really use precise aims or need them overall. And then the radar is kind of counterintuitive because you're always wanting to stay at that 12 kilometers plus, really sniping with the AP, and occasionally using HE if you're just not as good of a player for that, which that can happen. That can be a real thing. It's like sometimes maybe you do the whole kind of like the Conqueror trick where you fire HE after a certain range because you're just not as good of a sniper, but hey, maybe you should shoot AP in order to do that, in order to get better. Alister, do you have any thoughts?
Well, with the meta as it is right now, give me 1 second. Sorry, that vodka's still hitting me.
Weak.
What's St. Vincent's range on its guns right now?
Oof.
You guys know
Good.
off the top of your head with camouflage?
No, I don't know off the top of my head. I just know it's good.
I have the game open. Give me 1 second.
Is it under like 14 kilometers? Is the only question I have.
No, it's like 14 something. 14.96. It's almost 15.
I mean, St. Vincent is really accurate. And that's the battleship that everybody is pretty much grinding for in one picker. I played this thing during this Christopher Colombo meta back when it was OP. It did really well.
Alright.
But the scout planes and sniping at the back of the map still sucked. There's not much you can do because you have kind of mediocre maneuverability.
Yeah.
I feel like against St. Vincent you do better, so I could see it in competitive. But it's gonna have a difficult time.
I had it in
Against other
that.
cruisers and destroyers, it'll be amazing.
It does well. Like it holds up. That's why I was like the guns are just staying consistent. It is. Like that's why I put it. I didn't want to put it at low competitive. Right now, my current issue with going through everything is I've had times where I'm like, I don't actually want to put it in low competitive because high playable sounds better. You know, it's like kind of that inclination towards it. So okay, we'll stick it in competitive, and we will be doing adjusting things overall in there. But I do feel like it needs a mobility buff. It just needs that soft stat buff, and I think it would actually be incredible.
So one last thing before we move on. The guns, they have Des Moines reload. So you basically have one less gun than Des Moines, and your AP damage is about the same. So you're basically taking Des Moines, taking away the AA, and then giving it more range. So and contrary to the belief of sitting at range, at early parts of the game, yes, 100%. But you also have 35 knot speed, and if you take the correct supplies, you're running 36. So a lot of the time, I find myself pushing in Nevsky, into that mid-range, not necessarily close range. You do have torpedoes, but they're similar to German torpedoes of 6-kilometer range. So even like you have the DPM to push, you just have to be smart when you push, and that's why I think it's a little bit higher. Now, if you are staying at range for the majority of the game, there are better cruisers for the job.
I can completely agree. Now the Austin. I actually think last year we got it right. It's just competitive. It's a good solid. It's got a niche, but it's a damn good niche, especially right now in the DD meta. But anyone have any else to say?
This thing's a monster.
Yep. And also the ability to put Halsey on this and dump 30k into a random battleship, and if they miss, you get another rapid reload. So it is definitely competitive. It takes some getting used to, that's for sure. It's definitely a much harder ship to play, but regardless, it's still somewhere in competitive where it's very, very good boat.
Oh yeah, no, Austin's solid.
Especially with Gdansk coming out. I feel like this thing's the only thing that makes Gdansk actually think, like, okay, maybe I might not want to push up so quickly here. Because, yeah, you can smoke up, but you're the size of Manhattan in Gdansk. It's still going to hit you.
Even with all the light cruisers, like, I've done this several times with a Mino or Genon, and it's just, if you can hit all your shots with SAP, you kill them in 13 seconds.
Oh yeah, it can be nasty.
It's pretty rough.
But also, Austin does take a little bit of time to learn because you do explode occasionally. It just kaboomy, especially from a St. Vincent or a Colombo.
Or in comp. I've done that to poor Austin in comp.
The other thing you also have to keep in mind is if you run into a CV that's actually very good at the game, you don't have much HP. So your AA is not going to help you. So you can get one shot if you're not careful.
Yeah, especially in FDR. Screw the FDRs.
Well, your AA doesn't mean a difference anyways, no matter what you're ragging.
Yeah, good point.
With FDR.
True. Okay, now I was messaged by Matt recently, actually I'd say about a month ago, about the Zao class and how we were horribly wrong on this one. So I'm going to let him take the Blk Zao, even though I really like it. Matt, what's your take on the Blk Zao?
Okay, so similar. Can I talk about Zao because we're kind of going in order?
Yeah, it's yeah.
Okay, so Blk Zao, instead of, you don't get access to the legendary equipment, which I at the moment do not run on Zao because it's too much gold. But Zao actually has rapid reload too, which in stats, theoretically, you should have way more fires. And the majority of people I talk to actually say they get more fires with Blk Zao. Now, I'm not sure how. Granddad also has talked about how if you shoot your HE shells and they hit the deck of the ship, you get 100% of your fire chance. Where if you hit the side of the ship, you're getting half of it. So I've, done my best to shoot at the decks of battleships and such, but I've had a much harder time with Blk Zao getting consistent fires like I do with normal Zao. So I've played it maybe 75 to 100 games, and I think it's like low competitive, medium and competitive, somewhere in that range. It's better than playable because the rapid reload, just, it with the meta that's going on, you can hit DDs very hard and you can hit them quicker than normals now. So that is kind of a better point, I guess you could say, on Blk Zao. So that's my view. I think it's not high competitive or meta by any means. It's not, one of the best, but it is definitely a good ship.
I consider an upgrade because of that rapid reload. You're able to get those more fires. You're able to do the whole set them on fire. Oh, cool. You're repaired. Wait 10 seconds. Pop the rapid reload. Burn them to a crisp and such. And I feel like the speed boost, a lot of people forget about that. And you can move in this sucker. You can dodge decent amount of shells, or at least kind of make sure they hit the tail end of your ship, so it's not fully hitting just the main area to get citadeled on. But I feel like this just does a better job right now overall, where the regular Zao is more trying to focus all on that concealment, and sometimes you're not able to use that concealment, where the Blk Zao has that offensive capability of rapid reload to kind of give it ways out, unlike the regular Zao. So, Alister, do you have any thoughts?
I played Zao a long time. I do not have good stats in Zao. So, no, I don't think I'm going to comment on this one. I think I'll stay out of this one.
Okay. I think that the mid competitive, I think that's a good place. I had it a little bit higher in the competitive in my notes, but right there, I'll definitely say it's pretty good.
Things might change as we go along. Like, you never know. Austin, Nevsky, Blk Zao, more ships might get placed. We might move them around and competitive.
Oh yeah, definitely. Buffalo. Now, last year I argued against Buffalo being in meta. I shortly thereafter learned why the Buffalo is definitely in meta. Do we have anything else to say?
Thank you.
This is like one of the only opinions we had that wasn't trapped.
Yeah.
It's like, this is still here.
Yep. Now, it's not like the top of S, but it's still meta. I'm sorry, I keep on getting S and A mixed up with meta.
Don't worry
about it. It is still meta for sure.
Yeah, it is. Yes. I think it's about mid meta right now. It's holding it pretty solidly. Though I think it is definitely aging just a little bit. Once again, sonar would be really nice on it. But this with Halsey, that all I have to say is that, and everyone goes, yes, that. Mm-hmm. War crime territory at that point, because you can do some nasty things with that. Oh
yeah.
Okay, now we're done with all the fun ships. Now to talk about Castilla. Castilla. Did you guys have any experience with this?
Bottom of niche. I played against it actually quite a bit. Red Gaming Dino, whenever it actually came out of NDA and it was actually released for the crates and whatever, I played several games against them, and I definitely think if you watched Boblin's video recently, he's kind of started to figure out kind of how to play the ship a little bit. Yeah. And I think based on that, it's somewhere in niche to like low playable. It's not as bad as needs fixing, like some people are saying, though. It has, if you're not, above the 50% in the game, I guess I'll say it that way. It's the downsides are going to eat you alive, and it's going to feel like it needs fixing. Where I think it's like high niche, low playable, somewhere in there.
Alister, I'm going to let you go first. What do you think?
I've watched gameplay of this ship, man. Its DPM is atrocious. It has god awful. And everybody's like, oh, but you have low range, but you have scout plane. I would prefer to have my range without a consumable, personally. That's just me. If you guys want to put it in playable and niche, I'm going to argue that it goes into niche, because just like my opinion of Napoli last year, which was, we'll get to that later, this thing should be a needs fixing.
So
this thing has issues.
I'm going to agree with Alister, actually. I'm going to think it's top of need fixing. I think that this thing, it's coming out. Like, that's the thing. It's not even out. So they have time to fix it. They have time to update it. They have time to change it. I think that it's way too weak. I think that its idea of basically kind of being decent at fire starting, and then you have that AP to finish things off and have that gimmick of just being able to do it. It's a lackluster cruiser at what it's trying to do. And then on top of that, it's got the armor that not even like the Napoli can hold up better than it. And it's the same, isn't fundamentally the same ship. It just doesn't have the secondaries active.
Yep.
So it's, why is it so weak? That is frustrating as all get out. That this should not be a weak ship. This shouldn't be. Especially since I remember in PC, everyone's saying it's actually quite tanky. So it's like, why do we have this
Well, it
weak?
should be.
If it was tanky, what it would be is definitely niche, because that gimmick is fucking hilarious. Sometimes it is amazing. And look at Bazan. Bazan showed that that gimmick can be good. Still, it needs stuff. It needs changes.
So
It
if
needs
you were to fix it, what were the changes you would do to it?
So
Because I'm in 100% agreement that it needs a buff. It needs not necessarily like some other ships that we will mention later buffs, but it needs buffs.
So I
So-
kind of agree with that range, but I feel that that range can be fixed with a commander rework and like that, because
If
that
you
way the
want to.
consumable. Yep.
I will argue that's fine. But what I would personally do for it is,
What do you
first
do?
of all, give it Napoli. What is up with this?
Give it armor. Something.
What is the obsession with giving these heavy cruisers with big guns that overpen destroyers no secondaries when they have them? First of all, Golden Lion, Castilla. Why do these things not have secondaries? They should have them.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
And then, last but not least, when I saw the tier 9, because it came out in the early access, it was trash. And I was like, okay, maybe they'll fix Castilla. Maybe they'll give it a triple burst fire. Which, a triple burst fire would do this thing a lot of good. Like, take a second off the normal reload and then give it a triple burst fire and see what happens. Because
then it's high risk, high reward, and that becomes a niche ship
Exactly.
right there. And I would love that. I'd be up for that. Absolutely.
if you
That's
want to,
viable.
make that triple burst a stupidly long reload. Like, even longer than 3... What's the burst right now?
23
It's
seconds, I believe.
Yeah,
23 seconds, and the base reload is terrible.
Yep.
So give like a over 30-second reload on that burst. Watch it decimate. Because right now, you have a ship. You both know, all three of us know, it likes to flank. It has a super fast engine boost, and it has rapid reload 3 that does everything the ship does, but better. By a long shot. And you don't need a scout plane when they have that range.
Yeah, no,
Or,
Castilla needs
If
fixing.
you want to have crappy range on a good reload ship, we have Buffalo and Matt.
True.
There are plenty of DPM cruisers on this list. Castilla is not one.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, just go-
I enjoy what you're saying, because look at what they did with Bazan. If they would have done something similar with how
Exactly.
they did Castilla, it would have been competitive,
It would
which
have
is
been great.
where we need cruisers.
Yep.
So
Especially right now with DDs, like the DD meta being
I mean-
so strong, we need cruisers to step up.
Everybody likes DDs, but we currently have, like, for example, Vampire. If you're not running a radar cruiser, this thing has smoke that lasts, 45 seconds? You can't hit the damn thing unless you're God tier at the game. Like, even my Hindenburg, if I go up against someone like Dino or Steve, I'm not going to hit them.
No.
You can't hit them. You can't radar them for longer than 10 seconds, so they can still wiggle their way out. Dude, it's horrible. And that's just Vampire. We have Bazan with the burst fire that can literally one-tap a DD after the half health.
and we just got Gdansk.
We got Gdansk.
Yep.
Radar smoke hybrid. It has bad detection. So let's give it radar and smoke.
Yeah.
yeah. Balance it.
You balance, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
no, the DD meta is extremely healthy, and cruisers and battleships are faltering behind because of that, and we need to bring things up and make it work. And
there are a couple that still hold their ground.
they
Buffalo, Minnow, San Martin.
We'll get to them. No, we got that. But the problem is there's a lot more when you look
forgot
at
the next cruiser on the list, Alister.
Yeah, no, right? No, there's a lot of ships here that can do, but there's a bunch more in the cruisers and battleships that just need a lot of love. And once they get that love, they'll be fine. Like, it'll be a great meta. And it's not going to knock the DDs down. It's just going to make a complement to be against them and such. Which, speaking of Colbert, Matt, I think you're the one for this.
Okay, so I really started playing this ship a lot right after our tier maker last year. I think I put somewhere between 500 and 700 battles in a month in Colbert. I think I think it's low meta, high competitive. And the reason why is that the DPM is, I believe it's still the highest of all cruisers at the tier. It might be highest DPM of tier 10. No, never mind. Not considering torpedoes, but gun DPM is. And the AA is good. The detection is good. Now, it's much tougher to play, but it's still really good at what it does. It can damage farm, it can hit DDs, and that's one of the best parts is if you pull up on a DD, I think you can hit DDs for 5k salvo. So what is that? So about 12 seconds. If you hit all your shots, 12 seconds and the DD is dead. So I'm still of popular opinion, like last tier maker, where it's high competitive, low meta, but I'd also like to hear your guys' opinion.
So I'm actually just going to say let's put it right next to Austin. I think it does DDs incredibly well, but it is incredibly risky. It is a skill cannon. It is too many people die in this thing, and that's just because of skill. That's all. Like the ship they let the ship down.
Also, Matt, I recently did the math with you. I think it was yesterday I did the math with you. This thing does not have the highest gun DPM of all the.
Okay.
There's one cruiser that's better than it.
Of main guns.
Of main guns.
Of main guns. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there is a cruiser that is better than it if you spec it for it, and that's before you activate certain abilities.
I think the Colbert doesn't go into meta. I don't think it hits meta. I think it's got the potential of being in meta, but right now it just takes a lot of skill to get that into meta. And in general, there's a lot of other easier meta ships to play than it that just do what it can do.
If you get caught lacking by one battleship once, have fun. You might die.
Oh, yes, but then if you have the legendary commander, sometimes you actually want to get hit because then you get your rudder reduced by 50% time. So then it turns faster.
Well, yeah. Also, you have adrenaline rush.
Yep.
Okay, I'll put it this way: if you are a high skill player, this thing is definitely meta. If you are a normal cruiser, it probably is competitive to high playable. But
if you're a normal player,
I'm of the opinion that but I'm saying like if you're a top player or you want to be, Colbert is definitely a very good learning curve.
Oh yes, Colbert, you want to learn the game, learn how to dodge, and be rewarded for good positioning, play Colbert. It's a really excellent ship for that.
Pretty much, if it wasn't for a game today that I played in the Colbert, I probably would have just kept it in niche because it is like it's a skill cannon. You put more skill into it, it treats you better. But if you don't have a lot of skill, but that doesn't actually equate to all the other rankings. So I completely agree that it's like, hey, it's got a lot going for it, but high competitive or high to mid competitive. Yeah. Next one. This one actually got a buff since we last talked. It got a range buff. So it's not always needed to go that tricked route. How are you guys feeling about the Des Moines right now?
Des Moines, okay.
Yeah.
I'll let Alister go. I went for quite a few cruisers in a row.
Yeah, because you've named more of these than I have. I mean, you've put
this is more of a heavy cruiser.
Battles in like nearly every single one of these ships so far. 2,000 in Des Moines.
Yeah, but you're more of a heavy cruiser main. You're more of a heavy cruiser main. Let's go, Alister. What do you think? Des Moines.
I'll put it in low competitive.
I agree.
I'll put it in low competitive.
I'm gonna argue high playable.
You have very low range, yes, but kind of can work with it, honestly. Like I've gotten a lot better at working with low range ships. Since last time we talked, I was terrible with them. I couldn't make them work. Yeah. There's a lot of patience and a lot of positioning that goes into it, but yes, you can make it work.
So I'm going to go for high playable because of just the amount of other cruisers that are going to be within competitive. It doesn't really eke in there. It works as a mid to high playable ship. It really does. It's no longer this lower playable ship. The range increase really did help out its capabilities overall. But I think, especially with the tricked version in the mix, I think that the regular version sits at it's playable. It's good. It's solid right now. There's nothing really wrong with it. You can push it a little bit further. But because of other ships, I don't think it goes in competitive, in my opinion. What are you guys' thoughts on mine?
I'll be taking Alister's side on this one for sure. Based on the other cruisers that we have up there, I still think I actually I'll tell you guys a small story about Des Moines. I took off range mod in December. I think it was 2 days later, I broke the record. So I am of the opinion that Des Moines is actually better once you understand it without range mod. So I do agree that it is low competitive here.
Okay.
And we can talk about Tricked because it's coming up as well. But the biggest thing that I noticed between range Des Moines and normal Des Moines is you lose dispersion. You lose you turn Des Moines into a semi-accurate cruiser where you can actually push and you use your AP consistently. To where when you put range mod on, it is way harder to be more precise. Like if you're rushing down a Montana or okay, I'll give an even better example. Genon. Genon is very tough to hit. If you put range mod on Des Moines, you lose your dispersion. Well, of course, range does actually help dispersion a little bit, but I have
Not
noticed
that
a
much.
huge difference. Yeah,
Not
I've
at that
noticed
range
huge
because you're
difference in trying-
only increasing it by what, like 0.6 or point something like that. It's not like
So
it's not like Montana where you're adding almost like almost a whole kilometer onto it. So that's
there's also another thing about the leg mod that you guys have not brought up.
minus reload.
You
lose
add
your
reload.
dispersion. You also lose DPM. What is Des Moines known for?
Yeah.
Deep.
You're just a DPM cruiser. And with the range buff it got last year, Trick Des Moines, I'm going to assume both these Des Moines have Halsey.
Yes.
I'm going to say Trick Des Moines
Oh.
only has leg mod.
No Kincaid.
Trick Des Moines belongs in playable.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Now, okay. Now, I can see where I do agree with Alister on this.
It's
Once you're
training
at the
wheels.
higher end of players. Now, because of the training wheels, I will actually say that they are side by side. One is not greater than the other for the normal player.
But for the better player,
Regular Des Moines is better.
okay, that's a change up.
That is a hot take right there.
Ooh, man,
Now,
I don't know how I
just like
feel on
Alister
that.
said, if you are willing to spend that little bit of money for the training wheels, it does help you. But when you take those training wheels off, oh my goodness, does this thing turn into a DPM machine? That is my take on it.
Yeah, like effective DPM because you can
We're gonna
update DPM.
Comments, that's for sure.
Like with Trick
Interesting.
Des Moines versus regular Des Moines, not only are you losing DPM from the leg mod, you're also losing it from dispersion. You missed your target, so you were losing a lot of DPM in comparison to what you had with just regular Des Moines.
Yep.
Interesting. I'm gonna leave this up to the comments. I don't know if I agree with you guys, but at the same time, I see your reasoning, and I'm like, oh crap! I'm now gonna be low on credits again. But,
Well, you can
oh
put
man,
point up with the other Des Moines. That's up to you, man. This is just
no,
our
I
opinion,
actually almost
obviously,
like
the three
that.
of
I
us.
like the idea of the low competitive versus high playable. Like almost, it's like, hey,
Well, the other thing that you also have to think about, Sly, is it's kind of like the push yourself series. If you want to push yourself, take it off, try it.
yeah,
Push the ship
that's-
to its limits. But
I was
if you are, comfortable with it, then stay with range mod. It is a big investment.
Like
interesting.
that's me personally. I'm not willing to sell my range mod because Buffalo exists, and I have Buffalo.
That's true.
But
That is true.
If I didn't have Buffalo, I'd sell it and just play Des Moines.
I have worse takes that I want to defend than this. So, I think we're gonna leave it there. We'll let the community decide whether or not we're right or wrong on this one.